Everybody, hey everybody, welcome back to the White One Able Garage. Work continues on the 1987 Jeep Cherokee XJ. This is the first year that they introduced the 4.0 straight 6-cylinder engine, so I got a good one here. The previous owner thought maybe there might be a problem with the engine because it made a lot of noise, but it ended up being the flex plate. So I can't say it was an easy fix, but it was one that I can handle. I'm lucky enough to have a lift and bought a cheapy transmission lift, which ended up being a piece of junk, but it got the job done. Anyway, the point is, I wanted to show you all the removal points, how to get the flex plate replaced and reinstallation of the transmission. However, it didn't work out that way because I deleted everything about removal of the transmission. Sometimes I get a little trigger happy on that camera. Deleted a bunch of stuff before I realized I didn't put it on the computer. So what you have before you are the installation points, hopefully some tips you can use about this transmission going back in after flex plate's been replaced. So hey, to my regular subscribers, if you're not into automotive technology or diagnostics or repair, just say hello and move on. I know there's other better videos out there to watch, so I appreciate you stopping by. Leave a comment, and I always enjoy that. So anyway, hopefully the video helps out those who need the steps involved, and let's just get to it. Oh good, they match. So what you want to do when you get your new part is make sure this, I think it's called a timing hole. There's one here on the old plate. Just line those up best you can, and then check to make sure your tone ring here matches, which in this case it does, so good job, Rock Auto. While I waited for the part to show up, I did clean the back of the engine. So we have that ready to go. This only goes on one way. So you just got to find the index where all the holes line up, which is there. Same with this plate. Oh boy. Plate a good mark, and I'm going to hold this in place temporarily. Flex plate, or some people call it drive plate. I removed all the old torque seal and cleaned the threads so that the torque specification will be accurate. Not in the book, but these are 105 foot-pounds, and torque wrench is ready. Alright, they're all started by hand. You'll have to find a way to keep this from rotating. What I'm going to do here is stick my extension up against the back of the engine. There's a lip in the casting where I can take advantage. And I already torqued all these, but just to show you that step. While the transmission sits here, I cleaned it and made it ready for reinstallation. I did have to buy a jack from Amazon, and yeah, I did complain to the seller about this problem, and they promised a 40% discount. They'll send a new O-ring. Nothing's happened, and it's been almost 2 weeks. I had to replace the casters on this as well, as the ones that came with it were terrible. You couldn't even move this. And don't do what I did. This is supposed to go on first. Alright, that's better. Something worth mentioning is to make sure your torque converter is engaged all the way into the pump. It will slide in, you'll kind of feel it. It goes about a ½ inch. And don't ever try to mate this transmission with the engine using force, because it means there's something wrong, like the torque converter is not engaged, or you got a cable or a line, something pinching it. This should come together with ease. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little scary. I did get it lined up. I got 2 bolts in. Those are 16mm. The easiest ones, about halfway up there on both sides. Let's see, where are we? Anyway, you get the point. I got the leaky old jack out of here. It's being held up manually now. That thing is a piece of junk, I gotta say. You see that bolt right up here at the very top. At the very top there. If they are stock bolts, it'll have this head size here, and that's called an E12. Mine only has one. Someone obviously been here before, but here you got to have that special wrench. Oh boy. So extremely hard shot to get, but it's kind of important. So the socket, like I said, is an E12, kind of a reverse triple square. You just, the way I found to try to do this is a long extension with the universal. And now we can start it in there. If I can get you out of frame. Also lead the back of the transmission down a little bit. Make this a little bit easier to get to. Two top ones. Transmission to engine bolts get torqued 30 foot-pounds. Alright, I'm just on the crankshaft position sensor. Actually goes on the transmission. That's that tone ring that you saw on the flex plate, drive plate. This is 11 millimeter, and don't drop it. There's a hole right below where that bolt's going in, and it'll go down into the transmission bell housing area. You might be able to get to it, but anyway, you can see that hole down in there. 11 millimeter, like I said, and a long extension. Oh, sorry guys, long extension is your friend. Transmission support is, let's see, the middle one's 13 millimeter. You'll need an extension to get to 4 nuts that go on studs up in here. Well, if I can get you in frame would help. So those 4, and then you have the 2 fasteners on both sides. Speedometer cable. This is a manual cable, so make sure that square cable goes in the square hole. This is the dipstick tube, 13 millimeter. It's 2 bolts hold the shifter cable on, and put this on before your crank position sensor, or else you won't be able to get past that. Ask me how I know. I had to take that back off. So this is a 13 millimeter, and this top bolt is a little bit hard to get to with anything else but this ratchet wrench, or even an open end. But this end's easy, it just pushes on. So the vacuum lines come from forward. They run above your transmission. Just snake it around so they're not hitting anything, but they just plug in here. There's a keyway, so it only goes on one way. These are it's only the easiest transmission lines I've ever dealt with. They're got an O-ring and a quick disconnect. This is one place where you're going to want clean threads. It's a hard nut to get to on the stud. So if you can run it down with your fingers, then you'll be better off for it. Get a long extension across over here so you can reach it. And this is a bracket for your transmission shifter linkage. These are quite tough here. They just press in, so you'll need some kind of a clamping tool. Same up here. This one in the back here as well. This one just slides in and out, attached by 2 bolts. And that completes the shifter linkage, I think. Torque converter bolts, 4 of them. It's number 15. And unfortunately, I'll have to turn this to get them all started, and then turn them again to torque them. And I'm using just off camera. I can get to the front of the engine. It's a 6-cylinder, so you can turn it over fairly easy. Alright, I think I'll tackle the starter next. One of the more easy ones. Oop, a bolt. 2 bolts, and then you got your battery cable and the smaller gauge wire on top. I'll show you those in a minute if I get this thing hung. Alright, battery, cable, and the other wire goes to your starter relay that's mounted on the passenger side fender well. A little bit of an overkill. This plate just covers the torque converter. There's a big 18 millimeter bolts here with nuts, and then 2 smaller bolts here that we don't have. I'll find something in around here in the shop, but yeah, this must be for another application. There's no reason to have bolts that big. Alright, the rear drive shaft is in. I'll try to remember to put torque values down below. I didn't torque them, I just got them tight. Tip for you, those, if you can remember to leave everything in neutral, you'll be able to spin that and make it lining up universal joints a lot easier. Got the exhaust on. I did have to take this bolt back off here because I forgot about this clamp, and the clamp was broken, so I did my best to weld it. It's kind of a cold weld, better penetration on this side, but that should hold. Easy to get to. If not, I can fix it. Comes around here, and what you'll have to do is remember to put it on this side first, because it's got a unique situation where it has studs for that to slide on. Last thing for me, anyway, are the exhaust bolts here. There's 2 studs mounted to this bracket here, and 2 studs on the pipe itself. So kind of a unique mounting system. That's 14 millimeter, and I installed a new gasket. I did drain the transfer case, so there's new automatic synthetic transmission fluid in there. Of course, we'll do the same for the transmission. I did not drain a torque converter. The capacity is 4.2 quarts. I cannot account for this connector. It is just here. There's no place for it to go. I've looked online, other YouTube channels who've done this similar transmission. Nobody's done exactly the same. I just can't find where it goes. Now, I will tell you, it was really dirty inside, like it has been disconnected for some time. Things up top to remember are your 2 connectors here for the transmission, and your cable here for the downshift. Make sure that's in. Of course, you top it off in park. 4.2 capacity. Run it through the gears, check it again, and test drive was complete on this one anyway, so we're all done. All right, everybody, well, appreciate you hanging around for a longer video for me anyway. I get to check off a few things, which is always fun. We did transmission fluid, transfer case fluid, and flex plate. Here it is on top. I knew that was one of the big ones. So, got a few things checked off the list. Appreciate you guys hanging around for the video, and we'll see you on the next one.